Welcome to the Cyber Sleuth gameplay guide, and particularly I am piloting with the Alphamon top and making my main focus of this particular deck, as well as some of the other Alphamon cards which we're most familiar with, which is from the Chronicle trait as well. So here we are facing off against Galaxy, which has new support for Grace Nova, as well as Dianamon, which has a full new blue and purple line. So we're going to be pretty interesting to see how this kind of goes, because both our decks are very combo heavy to try to go up into our stacks and then start doing things on the board. One of the common things that we both don't have is actually kind of like protection on our stack. Now, but the thing is with Galaxy, the older one doesn't have protection, but the new one actually now does, thanks to the new Lekismon you guys can see here with the Inherit effect. The new Lunamon can do the same as well. So the opponent's establishing the board right off the bat right here, but looks like they're not able to climb up just yet. And since we went second, we're able to sort of start using our abilities. This is where I'm going to start using the Terramon ability, Inherit effect, to tuck the Gargomon underneath. And then because the nice thing with these rookies is that it sees itself once the source is being tucked underneath, we get to gain the additional value to then play out our Mirai for free. I need to start cycling, which is really important to climb and see my pieces, but climbing is not just the most important thing. I need to use my rookies and herd effects in order to draw cards, and then use the secondary other main effects of our rookie to establish this Mirai to once again pitch away stuff that we don't need in order to get as many cards as we can from our deck. And it's really important because we need to see our combo line in order to climb up into 4, 5, and we want to make sure that we have the multiple of same level source within the stack as much as possible, so that we can then gain as many benefits as well. Very similar to the Galaxy deck, which is why I kind of mentioned like this is very similar like gameplay for both sides of the decks, but very different things on what they can do as well with that same similar core mechanic. Anyways, they're going to climb up into their Crescentmon right here, and looks like they're going to go into the older Apollo, and the Apollo can blitz and swing. Now, our Terramon is going to be in danger. This is kind of scary for us just because we're kind of like exhausting our very first rookie right off the bat. It's going to get the lead off the effect like that and goes for easy 3 checks into us with only 2 security left. But this is why I really like this new Mirai, because it allows us to play out the Kyoko for free at the starter main. And with the Kyoko established right here, I need to think of a way to really survive, and this is where we're going to go for some pretty crazy clutch plays, because the new Kyoko has the ability to let us evolve into an Alphamon, but the only problem is that the Alphamon we have to play specifically has to be the new Cyber Sleuth trait in order to actually also transform on top of our Kyoko, or Digivolve on top of Kyoko specifically. So what we're going to do is we're going to use Laplace's Demon first to taunt the Apollomon, and then now since we have 2 or fewer security, we can go into the Alphamon, and I have to do that giving the opponent quite a lot of memory to work with. But if I don't find a way to defend myself, they're simply going to push out the Lunamon this turn, swing for the rest of the 2 checks with Apollo, and then the Luna's going to finish the game off anyways. So I need to have this Alphamon on the board. It's going to give me blocker and the ability to unsuspend and increase my DP. At the same time, I'm going to force them to attack. This gives me the option to potentially block the attack, or you guys might notice we got the spicy Chronicle stuff in our hand to counter against them. Now the opponent's kind of smart, they kind of play around it. They actually use the Lunamon's effect to bounce their own Apollomon in order to gain 2 memory and dodge the attack. Now the opponent may not exactly know what we have right there and what we're planning, but they know for sure even if they attack with Apollo, a simple block of the Alpha will be enough to take it down, and they basically lose a body. But this way they can cycle their Apollo back to their hand and still find a way to climb up into it because they're gaining so much memory. And now they're trying to do is to set up as many red inheritables as they can to gain additional DP buffs, so that Apollo then will become stronger in DP to overwhelm Alphamon. At the same time, they're going to try to stun it down with Crescentmon to prevent us from blocking too. So this can be a really good position for them. So now you guys can see they're going to go into the Apollo again and try to swing for the 2 checks in order to pressure for as much damage as possible. But here is where we surprise them with the Oreo-Ken Ace, with the Oreomon that we have the perfect pieces that we need in their hand to counter, and we are going to blast DNA Digivolve and then minus it by 15k. It's not going to be quite enough to get rid of the Apollo because it is at 16k at least. So this is going to be a big body that's swinging in for 1k, at least 2 checks into our security. That way we also get to recover a little bit with the Oreo-Ken Ace. We get to trash their security and gain additional memory, but they ran into something that's 2k, which is just enough to take them down for that particular turn because of the DP reduction. Now we are in a fantastic spot, and this is the perfect showcase of why I absolutely love running the Orioken Ace package as my sort of like additional top end to other than my regular CS trade cards. All I have to do is just get rid of this Lunamon, and the entire title of the game has changed drastically. I'm going to go for the swing. Oriomon is going to use the inherit effect to trash first, and then go for the attack for 16k, gain the additional memory back as well now, and I have more to work with, and I can climb up to another potential level 6 if I need to or if I want to. I definitely want to find a way to get rid of that Lunamon, which is why I'm going to go into the Kirinmon here. Kirinmon is going to trash my top security. Unfortunately, it is going to be a Yugo, but that's totally okay. The whole idea is that I want to continue to evo up into Kentaurus, I can reset my security there, so I pretty much didn't lose any security, and then by swinging with it, I can minus 4k DP to it on the attack. No need to trash to unsuspend. There's no need to give the opponent any potential value here. We can just stop. Giving them 2 memory to work with is all they have. They got nothing in raising to come out. They got nothing to potentially play out. They're not going to be able to combo off here. There's just probably nothing they can do, and then the next turn, we will just secure it in the bag, and let's just see how this goes. But once again, guys, this is the power of Orioken being included in the Cyber Sleuth deck as we finish them off. Next game, we're facing off against the Arimon deck, which is also known as the original Ryugumon deck with Yaoqing Lan from the Liberator webcomic. Fish, aquatic, everything, you know, good stuff right there. Crazy amount of new support, which is really good for them as well. We are going second, which is generally what we prefer because then we can draw an extra card. I like to have a tamer and play more cards that can help me surge or grab pieces like I mentioned, and take it a little bit slow if I can. This is going to be a decent position because then we have a Palmon ready to go, and then we can immediately set down the Ami Aiba, putting the opponent to 1 memory, and then as long as they have a body on the board at the start of main, we're going to constantly gain a memory, and this tamer is really important to help us also further climb up even faster to turbo digivolve into our stack, which is really good. So later on, it's going to go for some crazy combos if we can ever utilize it. Since we started at 2, now we're just going to play the memory efficiency game just to give the opponent as little to work with as possible. Now I have another searching card I found, so I'm going to go with Yugo, which is also really good as a starting card, and then eventually it will help us reduce our play cost for anything that we want to play out that is CS trait. That's whether it's a Digimon or another tamer, so that we can get it out for cheaper, and then we can combo off that way too. The opponent is also setting up a little bit, but they're pretty much ready to come out because then they digivolve into the Xiaomon with the reduction cost of the Sangomon, and then establishing their Yaoqing Lan memory setter on their side of the board, and then now they can continue to climb and digivolve further if they want to and see where this goes. I don't think they can get into a level 6 just yet unless they decide to attack aggressively into our security and survive and stuff like that to gain additional memory to play with, but it looks like they're going to use the delay of mental training to go into Marine Bullmon and Tuckosaurus underneath, and they're standing at level 5 and a level 3 on the board. Now the only downside is I don't feel like I have the resources that I need to answer this right away, just because generally if I'm able to delete and remove their bodies there quickly, then I'll be in a really good position to sort of like get a lead and tempo during the momentum course of this entire game. So what I decided to do is then I just need to go find more pieces. I need to draw more cards. I have the tamers I need to work with. I have those resources. I just need to play them out as quickly as I can, because I don't want to slow myself down, which is why I bomb deck the Yugo to play the Mirai for reduced cost of 2, so only for 1 cost, pitching away the Palmon just to draw 2 cards, and then now I'm going to establish the Kuremi Detective Agency on the board, which is pretty much like the Cyber Sleuth Memory Boost Searcher card of the deck, the option to grab anything that I want that I need within the archetype, and then with its delay I can gain additional 2 memory and pop off even further if I need to later on. I'm still working with just a Palmon and raising. I need to find a level 4, I need a 5, I need a 6. That's, you know, it is a stack building deck after all, so I need to climb up or otherwise establish Kyoko and find Alphamon, so then I can go for the warping combos there too. Looks like they're going to go for an aggressive play by going to Champagne Mon, by swinging with the Marine Bullmon first, which does survive, and then they get to gain additional memory back at the end of attack, go into the Champagne, now gaining a ton of memory, unsuspending itself, and then also going for another 2 checks, which is going to continue to survive, and now tucking additional sources back, playing out their Sichuemon off the sources, off the Marine Bullmon's inherit effect, gaining a ton of memory again with Buka for playing out. The Sichuemon itself is going to draw additional card and gain memory itself as well, and because since they tucked in the Sangomon, that also gains another memory at the end of attack. Just memory printing in this deck, which is kind of crazy right there and pretty insane. Those combos are absolutely nuts. So the opponent's going to put us back to 1 memory to work with only by hard dropping the Xiaomon, taking a source underneath. They're not going to use anything to further combo and extend, I think. They're not going to use the Yaoxing Lang there. So now we are at starting 1 memory, and this is the time that we have to push. We have to do something here this turn. If we don't, we're simply going to lose the next turn. The Xiangpingmon can do 2 checks. They have 3 other attacks that can come in, especially including that Sangomon in the back as well. So we're going to start off by bottom decking the Mirei with the start turn effect to establish the Kyoko, just in case we can find ourselves the Alphamon so we can warp and defend ourselves. We might have to rely on that quite a bit when it comes to going for comeback plays. We're going to go into the Gold Numemon, which can give security attack -2 to something which is kind of neat. Being able to give it to Xiangpingmon would be nice because then we can stop them from doing the double checks and gaining so much advantage. They can still make the attack, and then at the end of the attack, they can gain memory back. But if we can establish something big on the board, then we can kind of potentially stop them from attacking. And all that really comes down to having the new BT22 Alphamon so that we can potentially warp on top of Kyoko and establish that, since we are at 3 or fewer security. And even in this moment at 0 memory, we can still try to find a way to play this out. We just need a cycle and draw more cards. We can continue to combo off, and this is why I'm going to consider using the Palmon Herd effect to tuck the Gold Numemon underneath so that I get to draw a card, and then the Your Turn effect is still going to activate because it sees itself tucking the source underneath. And there you go, we found the Alphamon that can help defend us and maybe stabilize on the board. So with the warping capability, I have to pay 5 memory to go on top of Kyoko. So I'm deciding if I want to give the opponent 4 memory at their start of turn to work with, or just put them exactly at 3, because I don't want to have them have a lot of memory, so then they might be able to combo off. So I did crack the boost to gain 2, and then just the Evo for 5, putting them to 2, but they start at 3, and then Yaoxing Lan is also going to be able to gain additional memory as long as we have a Digimon at the start of their turn too. But at least we have something to defend ourselves a little bit just at the moment. Of course, if the opponent tries to attack with their Xiangpingmon, it doesn't have enough security checks to deal any damage now. And if they choose to try to utilize the end of attacks, they're going to have to go through our Alphamon first, but we're going to have a lot more DP than it does. So they're going to end up just losing their whole stack for no reason. And of course, in their best interest, they want to keep it as much as possible because there's a lot of value in Herdables that they can really utilize off there. So here they're just going to start off by going for some boost. I feel like this entire turn, they're probably just going to try to go for like a setup turn instead and play a little bit slow, not necessarily needing to do too much in terms of that, and then see how we react from there. But this is one of our potential moments where we can make crazy comebacks. So they're going to use a scramble to digivolve their Citret into a Huangkun. Huangkun, they're not going to play something out from their sources. So then now we'll start at 1 memory. So we're able to actually utilize our Palmon if we need to. We can see how we can try to control the board as well. And by having Go Numemon, this is also really nice. I really like its Inherited effect because it lets us reduce the Digivolution cost as we climb up as well to help us go into level 5 sooner. So with Go Nume, we get to also give the security attack -2 once again. And then this is where I can consider using Ami Aiba to suspend her, because when we digivolve into Go Nume, since it has another same level in the source, so now we can go into another CS trait Digimon for free. And that allows us to go into this Rise Greymon, which is also another card that helps us play out Tamers if we have 1 or fewer. So the only target I have in my hand is a Hugo, but I find myself another Alphamon right here. And that is going to be really nice because we can go into another one if we ever need to. Thinking back, I might have been able to sequence this line a little bit better, because when I digivolved into Gold Numemon, I could have suspended Ami Aiba and then digivolve into Rise Grey and actually utilize the Wanyamon egg back there afterwards, along with the Gold Nume and Herd effect to now digivolve into a level 6 for only 1 cost, as long as I'm going into Alpha or Cantorus. Now, I do have the Oriamon in the hand, so during the time I was thinking, okay, I might need to go into this Oriamon because I would like to de-digivolve them. Additionally, if I'm able to attack into the security while having that Oriamon present, I could actually remove this entire board, leaving them the only Sangomon to push out in the following turn. So for now, I'm just going to attack with Alphamon, DP reduce to Huangkun, and then also DP reduce to Xiangping, and see if there's a way to at least get rid of 1 body there. I have a choice to either go for the full 10k reduction on the Huangkun, or apply the other 5k reduction to Xiangping, and then potentially go into Oriamon to finish the turn to de-digivolve it back down to something that's 5k or lower, and that would just get rid of the stack entirely. But then I will leave the Huangkunmon up. So this is a little bit of a trickier situation. I'm not able to remove both bodies. I'm considering using the Palmon effect, which I haven't done so yet this turn, just to draw another card, but I can't really climb reliably into another level 5 again and then go into level 6, which I don't have enough memory to do so. So I'm thinking back, maybe I should have just put all the DP reduction to the Shangpingmon, just because again, it has unheard of effects that can really utilize off of it by getting rid of that big stack, at least most of the problems we've gone, and then maybe I could have given the security attack -2 to the Huankumon to leave it standing and then force the opponent to further Digivolve. But in the end, I just decided to go into another Alphamon to further DP reduce the Huankun, getting rid of it just because I felt it was safe at that particular moment, because Shangpingmon wouldn't be able to attack, it wouldn't be able to deal damage. We can also block them if they ever try to, gain additional memory. So they're gonna go for the blue scramble starter turn, and this is where I realized I probably actually should have gotten rid of that Shangping, because the Shangping is now gonna actually potentially go into Airymon to clear our bodies, and by doing so they can just Digivolve for 3 like that, play out a level 3, 4, and 5, which is insane. And like I mentioned before, the Alphamon CS trade deck right here does not have any protection whatsoever. And with Airymon, they can sequencing a bunch of effects right there, get the on plays, gain memory back as well. It doesn't matter as security -2, as long as they get into that. That will allow them to tuck a potential another source back underneath Airymon to bomb deck anything that they want on our side. And that just immediately deals and pretty much mitigates all the work that we've done in the prior turn, which is kind of unfortunate. So thinking back, this is where we live and where we learn a little bit. Should have dealt with that Shangpingmon if I could have, because then the opponent would have to pay a lot more memory. Now they go into another Shangpingmon. Looks like they're considering if they want to suspend the Yao to tuck an additional source, but no, they're just going to go with the Airy bomb deck. They're not going to combo there any further just yet. They're going to pause the combo for a little bit just now and then reconsider and see how they can play out from here. They also have a memory boost to work with. They have a lot of cards on the board there too, which is pretty insane. So they're going to go for a mental training. Not too sure what they're trying to look for at this particular moment, or maybe they're just going to try to buy themselves another turn and see if they're able to survive, and maybe not go for the game-winning play just yet, just because they don't have enough attacks to sort of do so. A lot of the Digimon that are played out this particular turn can't attack right away. The only Digimon that can attack is the Sankomon that just came out from raising. But if they don't finish us off right here, we still have a potential chance in the next turn. We've drawn and cycled through a lot of cards, so there's something that we can actually hope for a crazy combo to pull off. So they're gonna go for Marine Bull here, and then just Digivolve into it, passing us back to 1 once again, and then tuck a source underneath with its when Digivolving effect, and pretty much passing a turn to us back to 1 again. Not having a memory setter is kind of tricky sometimes now, because that we Digivolved on top of our Kyoko. We lost that kind of ability to start our turn at 3 memory, and we're gonna have to only work with 2, and this is gonna be a challenge to see if we're able to climb all the way up. There is actually a game-winning formula if we can find and gather the pieces that we need. Assuming though the opponent doesn't have a Metal Seedramon Ace in their hand, which is a potential card that they can be playing this deck as well. And if they have it, then it's pretty much all over for us. So we're going to push out the Terriermon first. We're going to Digivolve into Gargo, which is our only choice, and just to cycle and draw as many cards as we can. Considering if I want to use the inherent effect of the rookie to tuck the Gargo back underneath. But going back to the game-winning formula is, if they don't have a Metal Seedra Ace, I can simply just attack with the Alpha, and then unsuspend, swing again if I want to, or not necessarily needing to, and all I need is actually Mega Digimon Fusion plus a Oreo-Ken Ace, because I do have an Oreomon in my hand, which will then trash the remaining security that they have left, and I could finish the game off. Once again, assuming they don't have that Ace. So I go for this check first here. It looks like they don't go into the Metal Seedra Ace, just because I feel like it would have been the right time to do so if they have one. But now I have to pivot, because I don't have the Oreo-Ken Ace. I'm just gonna have to Digivolve up my stack right there and comboing off with Ami Aiba, going into Kirimon. Kirimon can trash the top card as security to go into another CS trait level 6, which we're gonna go into Kentorismon, and if we can actually set a yellow card from our hand into the top of security, and then we have a blocker. And then that is where the Oreo-Ken Ace decided to show up. Man, if we had it there, we would have just instantly closed off the game, but here we can try our best to actually block their attacks. We have 2 blockers, one Kentoris and then one with Alpha, and both of them have the ability to unsuspend, which is really nice, so that they may not have enough attacks to finish us. just quite yet. And alternatively, if they ever try to attack us, we have another opportunity to actually blast ace into Oriokan ourselves as well. Looks like they're going to come into the Ryugumon, which we haven't seen the entire game. And this is actually one of the most clutch cards that they can have for sure, because that will actually stun down one of our blockers so that we can't suspend to stop them from attacking. That's 2 blocks gone simply with that. And now with Airymon, they're going to attack and tuck a source underneath, and that will actually bottom deck our Alphamon, and the opponent is smart. They're just playing around just in case if we do have that kind of ace, but oh, that is really, really unfortunate. They're going to go for that 1 check there. There's no answer we can give to them. At this moment, the opponent pretty much has lethal on the board, but they're still going to gain a ton of memory at the end of attack with their inherited effects, which is absolutely insane. And all they have to do is really just swing with Airy and swing Rugu, because again, we don't have any counters that can really stop them. Kentaurus is stunned, we don't have aces, but of course resolving the end of attack effects for Sango to play out off Marine Bull's inherited effect. And unfortunately, it looks like Airymon and Ryugumon's got us this time in this game, as they finish us off with Alanamon, but we'll get them next time. Alright, in this game we're facing off against Syndromon, Kaguyamon, and the Puppets, along with the new addition of Nyabutmon and the cards from BT22. So definitely a huge power up for this particular deck, which can be a little bit challenging. We are going to be going second, which is ideal for us. So I decided to keep this hand originally anyways, even I didn't have a rookie to work with, because I felt like I had 2 cards that can help me cycle, such as the kuremi Detective Agency option card to search, as well as potentially playing out the Mirei to trash a card and draw 2 cards. And I felt like, okay, yeah, I should be able to find what I need, and I don't necessarily need to have a rookie ready to push out immediately in this particular turn, as long as I can find one here. So I do have the Palmon, which is good. And in this matchup, it can be tricky just because the aggression and the speed they have is just pretty insane. The opponent didn't go for overclock with the attack with Chaparral, nor they had anything to play with there at that moment. So I felt like in this moment, it gave me a little bit of a breathing room where I can try to take it slow, but I feel like I still need to ramp up as quickly as I can. I need to cycle and draw. I need to play as many cards as I can, which is why I popped the boost right here to play out Yugo, to search, grabbing anything that I need that is CS trait related. And the nice thing with Yugo is that we can use its effect to bottom deck itself to reduce the play cost of Mirei by 2 the same turn we play it out. And then now with Mirei, we're going to toss away that card that we grabbed, which is the Palmon, to draw another 2, because I feel like all I need is level 4s at this moment, so then I can climb into a 5 and a 6 to establish my stack. I want to have multiple level 4s in order to meet those requirements and get the maximum amount of bonus of effects that I can. Because the next turn, I'm set up that I can decide to push out the Gonumemon as a level 4, use the Palmon effect to tuck it underneath, draw a card, and gain a lot of value off of there. So now the opponent goes into Syndromon, and still they're not going to go for overclock attack just quite yet, because I feel they want to keep that token on the board for their protection inherit effect of Chaparomon in case we have anything that can remove them. The thing is, like, it is really tricky, and because the deck is really aggressive, but one of the main ways to play around that is actually de-digivolving them. So I'm going to make the play exactly like I said, by pushing out the Gold Numemon, tucking it underneath with the Palmon inherited effect to gain additional memory, and then I can Digivolve into Gardromon for 0 cost, because the Wayamon is going to reduce it by 1, and the Gold Numemon also inherited effect reduces by another 1, so that I can DP reduce something by 3000 DP, which is going to be their token, getting rid of it, and then their on deletion is also going to DP reduce us. But now I can easily climb up into a Kirimon, trash my own security, and then go into Alpha and make a swing to DP reduce their Chaparomon, getting rid of the entire stack, and they don't have a rookie to work with in there in the end. Now I still have the minus 3000 DP, although I have the plus 3000 DP, which is neutral. I didn't want to risk running into anything that's big in their security, so I stopped attacking with Alphamon here, just because if in case I lose this stack, it can be pretty detrimental to me. Having this level 6 on the board at the moment, I can take it slow a little bit, but as you can see, they're able to go for this crazy setup there by playing out Mirai, and then now playing out the option. Option plays out Promo Orisa plays out Shumon for free. All for that just for 3 memory is insane. So we're going to go ahead and attack anyways now, because Alphamon doesn't have DP reduction. It's going to be at least 15k as soon as we swing and unsuspend. We can get rid of that Shumon easily, no problem. And then we can search and find more pieces and set up for a potential clapback play if we need to, assuming if the opponent tries to climb up like crazy on the board. And I want to give them as little as possible as well to work with to make it difficult, just because they don't have a memory setter and they don't really gain memory at the start of main either. So I'm just going to go the Lapis's Demon for 1 cost, putting them exactly to 1 and see what they can do from here, as well as not having the EX7 Shumon to help them reduce their Digivolution cost. So they're gonna go into the Tournament Pack Shumon to play up the tokens, suspend a reset, gain a memory back, and both Mirai and the Fable Waltz option trigger at the same time. So it looks like they're gonna go for the Fable Waltz delay to go into Karakuru to pop the token, which now lets them go into any level 6 either Sendro or Kaguya at this point for absolutely free, which is insane. And all that just from 1 memory. You guys can see how crazy this deck can climb all the way up. And they still have the Mirai pending to also use and play out something if they want to. I am slightly worried if they are able to go into a Sendromon right here, because that gives them the opportunity to remove our Alphamon with multiple DP reductions. One from the token that was just popped itself to make an attack to -6, and then they can use Overclock at the end of the turn to further reduce and pop the other token too to do that, which will get rid of the stack. But it looks like they go into Kaguya here, so that means I'm a much safer position, and they're going to be able to DP reduce Arteriamon, getting rid of it. That's totally fine. As long as Alphamon survives this turn, that will be my key to stay in the game or even potentially win the game in the following turn. The opponent comes down with a Pawn Chessmon off of Mirai's effects to pitch away a card and draw 2, and unfortunately it looks like they pitch away a Sendro, which probably tells me that they draw it after the fact, which is rather unfortunate. But here we have a strong 17k blocker still on the board thanks to Gardramon with the extra 2000 DP. They can choose attack with Kaguya, but we're not gonna block, because if we're gonna block, they're gonna lose their whole Kaguya. So it looks like they're gonna go into the Shumon Tournament Pack, play on another token, go super wide by ending the turn by playing back the other Tournament Pack Shushu and establishing a full wall of blockers here. Now, I mentioned this is a pretty tricky matchup to deal with, because that amount of board advantage they establish out of nowhere is not easy for some decks to deal with and actually out it. So there is one potential out I can find, but I'm going to go ahead and Digivolve into Gonumemon first and cycle and draw a card. And you guys might have guessed it. It's D-Digivolve. D-Digivolve is the key to play around Kaguyamon and their whole inherent effects, just like the Gardramon which we saw earlier. We finally found it. So I'm going to use the option card to pop and gain 2 memory first, and then now use the Hagurumon inherent effect, just like all the other level 3s, to tuck underneath, draw a card, giving the big stack -3000 DP, and now just like before with Wanya and Gonume together to reduce the Digivolution cost by 1 each, going into Gardramon for absolutely 0 cost. Once again, DP reducing on the big stack by another 3000, and because we have a same level, we can de-Digivolve it, getting rid of Kaguyamon so nothing has blocker anymore. Swing with Alpha, use Kirin to -4k to deal with the Karakuru and its own -5k to get rid of that Shushumon, and now we attack their final security with Gardramon, and Alphamon finishes the game. Draconic Blade is now live on the AVAULT Store, which is one of the most epic drops I ever released, and the first 50 people to order the full collection will get an exclusive memory marker during this time only. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. You guys have a great day, great night, wherever you are. See you next video, and this is AVAULT signing out.